G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in the north of the map on the purple once again, we've got Divine DFP playing as the English. Spawning on the south side of the map in the green, playing as the French, we've got Give You Anxiety. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another game we've got on the improved Observer UI, and my, is it not the most beautiful UI you've ever bloody seen? It is just such a relief to have a decent in-game UI. Look, it's still missing a few things, as you guys would have noticed when you're watching games with the Rus. You don't get to see their bounty, or we don't even have that sacred site timer yet, but I'll be honest, just having all this information on my screen, oh, isn't it just absolutely beautiful? So big shout out to the creator of this UI. Now, I believe this game is part of a show match. So I don't know exactly who the show match was hosted by, but if you do know, leave it down in the comments, and I'll leave a link to them. I want you guys to go check them out, because if they're generating some cool content for us to check out, I want to be supporting that. That is absolutely awesome. But let's talk a little bit about this matchup, because this is an old school matchup, a matchup as time itself, one that we have not seen in a while, but one that it's good to have back. And of course, it's on Dry Arabia, aka the most open map there is. I don't think you can get a map more open than this. Maybe if like the wood lines spawn to the back, then you could probably get some pretty crazy ones. Actually, now that I think about it, I remember when I used to play Age of Empires 2 for a very brief amount of time. I think I probably got like just, not even a handful of hours, maybe like 20 hours, 30 hours on Age of Empires 2. And I remember at the time they actually made some changes to their version of Arabia. And I remember that they made it so, I think they made it so that the wood lines spawned towards the back, just to make it more open, because essentially what would happen in Age of Empires 2 is you'd have like a wood line that would spawn here and a wood line that would spawn at the side, or maybe a wood line that would spawn at the back and a wood line here, and you would just wall off very easily, and it would enable you to make very easy walls and effective walls, and as a result, it punished people who wanted to be aggressive, just because it was so easy to get your walls up. So who knows? Maybe that's something that we see on Dry Arabia. You know, maybe you get like this crazy mode that they make where they just put, you know, wood lines to the back of the base. That'd be, you know what? I wouldn't actually mind that, to be honest with you guys. I reckon it'd be very cool. It'd suck as a Chinese player, but hey, look, I'm not complaining. Anything for more action. And I think, you know, action's probably one of the most important things that you can promote when it comes to a map like this, or not even just a map like this, just in general. You know, you don't want to be sitting here watching games go for how many minutes, you know, 30, 40 minutes where no player is really making any headway. You want there to be aggression early. You don't want players to sit on their thumbs. And there are some maps where you do have that. You know, you see the wall off and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, like maybe we move the wood lines to the edges of the map. Could be an idea. Not that I'm complaining about the lack of aggression on Dry Arabia. Just I would like to remind people that. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about this game and where we expect it to go and how we expect it to go. So this is, as I mentioned, a matchup that's very, very old, a very common one. It's one that you used to see all the time back. I remember in Golden League, this would be a very common one. Don Artie in particular became infamous for his ability to win this matchup, which was considered a very difficult matchup as the English. You know, or historically, we would say that the English have a difficult time against the French, just simply because the English, they want to create longbowmen, and the French, well, they want to create knights, because they both have, you know, landmarks that promote that. And the consequence of that is that, you know, if you want to create knights and your enemy wants to create longbows, that you're typically going to do very well against them. But one of the details, the minor details that we overlooked, is that those longbowmen have an extra damage, in addition to the extra two range that they've also got, and that enables them to pierce the armor slightly more effectively than other civilizations in the early game up against the French. So one of the combinations we do see out from the English quite often in this matchup is going to be longbow and spear. Don't you dare, don't you dare, don't you dare. I couldn't believe it. I was oh, Divine, you taunt me. You taunt me. I was getting very excited for a second there, but unfortunately it does seem like we're just going to be going with the stock standard council hall, and a lot of villagers on this. 7 villagers. Divine very keen to get up. I guess he's concerned about his age up time. Did obviously go with a bit of a slower age up. We do see the wheelbarrow came out. He's already got 6 farms as well, so he's happy and healthy right now. GUA going to be aging up though, 4 minutes 42, a bit late from him. He's also got the wheelbarrow, so both players opting for that wheelbarrow build. Now, let's talk about what kind of build order we would expect from a French player in this matchup, and it's a bit of a weird one. So, the build order goes like this. At least this is what I've seen work and be very effective in this matchup. So, you start off I don't know why I can't see it, but there should be a knight being displayed here right now. Where is my knight? I don't know why I can't see a knight here. So you would start with a knight, maybe 2 if you're feeling fancy. And then from there, you're going to move into a second town center. And then from there, you're going to move into Archer Horseman. So you don't go Archer Knight, you go Archer Horseman, because the Knight's obviously very expensive units, but the Horsemen are going to be effective at dealing with the longbows, because the reality is you don't want your Knights hitting Spearmen. If you got good enough micro, you want it hitting, where possible, longbows. And that's exactly what the Horseman excels at. Not only does the Horseman cost half as much as the Knight, but it's also faster. You can see the cost right there. So you've got 120 versus 240. So it's half the cost, but it's also faster. So it enables you to have a bit more maneuverability. And more importantly, it just does more damage. It does more raw DPS per capita. So that's a really important factor. But we've got that Knight now coming in. So the reason why you want to open Knights is because Knights excel at killing villagers. And that's what you're looking to do in the early game. You're just looking to apply some pressure here. And we start to see walls going up for Divine. Looks like he's already walled up towards that northern position. He's going to continue walling in on his backside, doing the classic Age of Empires 2 walls. That we see all the way to the town center. Sometimes in Age of Empires 2, you will see players look to do that, but Knights running in now. Villagers going to be retreating back towards this position in the town center. They're going to go all the way back in, and now they're only just returning out to work. So beautiful little base that he's got in here. I do like the base that he's got. Spearmen continuing to move out. Absolutely no longbows at this point in time. So I'm curious what direction he looks to go, because typically you would see some early aggression coming out from him. We're right on board with GUA. Now, GUA, not the type of guy to go for a second town center. That is something for sure. So I'm curious what direction he looks to go for here, but I'll give you guys a hint. It's probably going to involve the Feudal Age. GUA is infamous for his Feudal Age rushes and pushes, and he does everything feudal. And he very rarely makes a second town center. He loves to play one base. That is just his style. And I think that's become something that's, you know, quintessentially GUA. So look, if we see a second town center today out of GUA, I'm gonna hazard a guess that it's probably not GUA. It might be his brother. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's probably GUA, but you know, maybe the circumstances call for it. We'll check in, though, with how Divine's doing as he looks to try and hold on at the moment on the defense. You can hear the Strelborans coming out right now. He's looking to try and get a wall up. It looks like he gets off a decent charge there on that Villager. Villager goes down, the first loss of the game here for Divine. Manages to hold off and get some decent shots off on that Knight. But now the Longbow is going to continue firing down. And we do see a Horseman actually coming out for GUA. So this could be the first of many. Let's take a look and see whether... I don't know why I don't have my global queue on right now. I must have hit a hotkey that turns it off. But I can only suspect there's more horsemen in the queue. This is gonna frustrate me endlessly, this game. Maybe if I turn off the UI and turn it back on or something like that. It could be a bug. It could be a bug. We'll have to wait. We'll have to see. Maybe it will come back. Who knows? But more horsemen coming out at the moment. GUA going to just fall back away from this position. And we can see that his opponent, Divine, has now got a pretty decent following of military units. He's banded together a whole bunch of brothers. Looks to continue exploiting the farm fields towards his base and moves more villagers towards gold. So he's very happy playing this feudal age style here. Outpost going to be going up, extending out that line of sight, give him a little bit more safety. And I love the way that he's playing up against the French here. It makes a lot of sense up against the French. One of the big factors is that they are able to whittle you down very slowly. So as an example, you can see GUA sitting up on 32 villagers at the moment, Divine on 30. He did lose a villager. So I guess technically he should be on 31 villagers, but he did obviously lose that villager. I don't suspect he had any idle time. Actually, I just realized, I don't even see like the building. I don't see the global queue. I don't even see the queue for the building. So I've got no idea what's being made. You can see that it's making a unit right here. We're going to have something pop out any second. 3, 2, 1, here it comes. There it is. It's a spearman. Surprise, surprise everybody. It was a spearman. Who would have guessed it? I was thinking crossbow from that barracks. But continues to push forward. Now, Longbow's going to be able to take out some decent shots. GUA ain't going to have to fall back away from this position. He does a decent job of picking off the first of the archers. Plenty more archers back here. Remember, you ideally want to keep that archer number just enough to kill the spearmen. But remember, this is a little bit of a different matchup because those longbows are going to be working to kill the archers. If you're up against if you're in a matchup where, say, you're up against a horseman, then that's a little bit different, or against men at arms, then that's a little bit different. But here in this situation, going for a big ball of archers is definitely a wise idea. But more horsemen going to keep coming out now for GUA. He's doing the right thing. Distinct lack of second TC, though. I would have really loved to have seen this from GUA. But look, GUA, the kind of guy who's not going to need a second TC. He's going to be more than happy just to stick it out on that one TC. Having a look at the upgrades, though, we don't see survival techniques coming through. No real other upgrades coming through just yet. We can see that +1 is going to be coming through for his ranged attack. we'll ride on board with Divine and see how he's doing as he drops a blacksmith of his own towards his own base. He's got 150 gold in the bank at the moment as well. So probably going to be thinking about +1 ranged attack. I think that's pretty much the stock standard upgrade that most English players look to go for. So we'll just keep an eye on this barracks and watch as that upgrade is probably going to be coming through any second now. I can smell it. I can absolutely smell it. Which one is it going to be? It's going to be Balanced Projectiles, aka Steeled Arrow. I always get that one mixed up. Pretty decent force coming out from GUA. He's leading with the cavalry. It's going to be some nice little micro. He pulls it away over towards that left side and now looks for a recharge. Get some decent charges off there, actually. Spearman going to continue to dwindle. You can see that the archers doing a great job and beautiful micro right there from GUA. Runs the horsemen through the archers, still continuing to pick them off, and the archers now going to be blocked, body blocked by the remaining spearmen. But you can see the spearmen are unfortunately attacking the archers there. Divine trying to fall back towards these outposts, but unfortunately a lot of these units are still very high health, including those horsemen, and GUA going to be looking like a supermarket worker when there's a bit of a custard spill on aisle number 3. Unfortunately, those horsemen... Wait, why does he pull back from there? Why did he pull back? Kill them all! Kill them all! You got +1 ranged armor. Kill them all! What are you doing, GUA? Show him no mercy. Get back. He could have easily cleaned that up. 100%. No two ways about it. But I guess he's just playing a little bit safe. Maybe he's just... maybe he's giving him a little bit of rope. That sort of thing. We'll check in over on Divine now and see how he's doing, because indeed... he has finished that +1 ranged attack. He's going to continue pumping out units. Wave 2 about to begin. He looks like the Zerg from a StarCraft 2 campaign right now, just pumping out units for the next wave. Does he throw down a second barracks as well? After losing that many spearmen that quickly, I would be like, I kind of need a second barracks just to make up. Because the problem that you're going to have is if you've just lost all your spearmen. This is something that people often will forget, right? You've lost all your spearmen, but you've still maintained the integrity of your longbow comps. So what's going to happen is as you continue pumping out more units, you've got spearmen, longbow, another longbow. So that's 3 longbows, 2 spearmen. The problem is that the spearman number is dwindled. It is so small, and as a result, very easy to take out. There goes one. Second one gets focused down. Third one is sitting back there. Villager going to have to fall back as well. Beautiful little surround. And GUA demonstrating why he's considered one of the world's best when it comes to the micro. You can just see him just shredding apart his enemy right now. Looking incredibly strong. Continuing to do a little bit of a maneuver here around, but I think it's going to be a cleanup for GUA. He's definitely done a great job. And this is just the consequence of not going for that second barracks and getting out that spearman, that second level of spearman production that you really need after a fight like that, especially where you can escape with such a large number of longbows. And he knew that his enemy had a big mass of cavalry, but he still manages to do a pretty decent job of holding it together. More archers going to be pushing up, managing to take out, or at least get a volley in on that. But a pretty decent result there for Divine, considering the fact that his enemy had a very good surround on that position. But we'll watch to see how GUA plays it. Still no sign of a second town center just yet. It wouldn't be a GUA game if we had a second town center. Blacksmith looks to have gotten +1 ranged armor. Still no +1 melee armor at this point in time. GUA moving out to all angles of the map. We can see he's actually got survival techniques through, so we could potentially think about a boar as well, so we'll have to watch out for that. He's taken the early deer over on this position. 8 villagers for the moment with just that outpost up, and I love the way that he's playing it. Plenty of line of sight, going to protect him in the event that any units come in. He begins to move out, looks to take out the villager. Villager going to be escaping with 14 health. That's all you need. Longbows continue firing down upon the archers. You can see he's having a tough time with it, not able to one-shot it. Villager going to go down. Horseman going to have to fall back away from the position as the spearmen come out, but it's a good little bait right there. The archer's getting some great trades in, and GUA, he's doing very well in this dicey spot. That outpost looking like it's probably not going to be going up. He's going to have to send another villager out. How many outposts is that? Maybe go a little bit more defensive. Not defensive, a little bit less aggressive. Let's just go with that. But we'll check in with Divine and see how he's doing, because he's actually starting to stack up a fair amount of stone in the bank. Now, that could be arrow slits. That could be a second town center. He's only got 2 villagers on there, so we'll have to wait and see what he looks to do. But longbows, once again, teeing off some decent charges coming through. Archer's going to be looking to try their best at taking out those spearmen and continuing to see why this matchup is considered one of the most exciting matchups that we've got. It's just non-stop action. And with these beautiful new colors that Age of Empires 4 has brought in for us, you know, what better way to watch this with the new UI as well. I mean, Age of Empires 4 is starting to look a little bit better now. I've got to be honest with you guys. New colors, observer system, actually decent, not a terrible observer system. I'm kind of happy with where we are right now. Like, I gotta be real with you guys. I haven't been coping the best with the state of Age of Empires 4. It kind of feels a little bit sour. It kind of feels like, you know, you start looking around. It's look, I'm not gonna start making some. Look, anyway, it's great to have Age of Empires 4 where it is at the moment, and I'm looking forward to it only getting better. Divine may have done a bit of an overchop right here. I suspect indeed he has. An overchop going to be coming through as the horsemen look to try and rage down upon the battlefield. It's going to be spearmen that repel it. So fortunately, Divine well and truly aware of this, and he takes out the deer. He's like, get out of here, deer. You exposed us, and now you must pay. But unfortunately, it wasn't the deer who exposed him. Indeed, it was his own villagers. But now those villagers are going to be moving towards the back line, looking to potentially chop through on that side. Nice little wall coming through here from Divine. Villager looks like he might wall himself out, but that's okay. We'll just walk around. I think there might be a chop through here. You know, this is why you see players like Beastie. He will just wall, like when the forest gets to this point, he will wall here. He will wall across like that, and then he will wall diagonally here, and then just wall like that. And he was just like, fuck it, man. I'm not dealing with this stupid shit where there's like potential run-throughs or chop-throughs or, you know, just stuff it, man. I am just going to wall it all out, and that's definitely the right choice. But now we finally see a second barracks coming down from Divine. And I'd start to question whether that's going to be meta arms, but I suspect in this matchup it's probably not going to be. I suspect it's going to continue just to be spears, and I think that's the right choice. Divine now still stacking up the stone. Speaking of stone, GUA absolutely no intention of going any bigger than that. We see double board being taken from GUA, actually. 8 vills to the south, 8 vills to the north. Vills not looking the healthiest, though. GUA sitting on 55 villagers compared to the 46 of Divine. So he's starting to build that economic lead as well. This is something that the French get to do naturally. And so it becomes a bit frustrating because they always seem to have a little bit of a better economy. And, you know, you throw in the fact that the French have also got access to those cheaper upgrades. You know, we talked about that quite a bit early on. They've got cheaper upgrades. So as an example, let's take a look at what upgrade don't both of these players have. I'd have to go with specialized pick. 52-122. 52-122. Versus 75-175. So it's about 100 resources cheaper, maybe 75 resources cheaper. It might not seem like a lot, but if it enables you to get that earlier, then you're just going to have it over your opponent and they're not. And if you can squeeze that into a build, that's absolutely huge. And a very interesting, I've got no idea what kind of formation these knights are in at the moment, but very curious. Oh, they're in the siege formation. They didn't have their torches out, at least they didn't appear to. Now, Spearmen going to be jumping inside. The Knights and Horsemen continuing to just focus down that. But they're Spearmen inside. I'd just be jumping out. I'd be like, yo, what's up, man? I'd hit him with the spears. But I guess Divine probably wants to delay until the rest of his units are here and actually force a meaningful fight. Because the problem is if he looks to try and take out these, or get these spears out a little bit early, there's the potential that they just get picked off. There's plenty of archers down here. He's going to continue keeping them inside. And as a result, I guess he bolsters that spearman position. So a smart move from him. A lesser player definitely would have revealed those a bit earlier or pulled them out earlier or just pulled them out full stop. But not Divine. So smart move from him. Right on board with GUA as he begins outposting up the entire map. You can see he's got plenty of outposts out. Villagers super far away from his base. But he doesn't seem to mind. Villager count still looking healthy. He's up 9 villagers at the moment. She's got the chivalry through, so the Royal Knight's going to start healing. We don't really see too many stables out of GUA. Only the second stable at this point in time. Ideally, about the 18-minute mark, you'd probably want at least 3 stables. But interestingly, both players just sticking with their compositions. You know, we don't see any sort of horsemen coming out at all from Divine. We don't see any spearmen as a response from GUA. It is just it's very duo tone. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's almost like they're just sort of pigeonholed into these decisions. I guess both players are happy with it though, right? Like, obviously GUA can throw out horsemen here. Like, spearmen wouldn't really do anything. Actually, you know what? Spearmen might do something. Spearmen would delay the hardened spearmen or interrupt the hardened spearmen. In that they would be, the spearmen would be there as a unit that would be like, hey, attack me, bro. And you're not going to do any damage. And they'd be on the front line, and they've got the extra health. Like, you compare the health between these. You've got 90 health on the hardened spearman. And compare that over to the archer, which has got 70, so they've got slightly more health. And of course, they are cheaper as well. At least I think they're cheaper. I'm gonna have to check the math as a raid comes through. Let me just double check the math right here. We've got an archer that's 30 and 50. They're not cheaper. 60 and 20 for the spearman. Same cost. You know what? Probably just better. Don't even bother going spearman until you see horseman. That probably makes sense. But yeah, it's curious that GUA hasn't gone for horseman. It definitely feels like in this position, horseman would have been the wise choice for him. But now going to be once again looking to prod. Did I say GUA? I meant Divine. Divine should be going Horseman. But get some good... Look at this beautiful pincer right there. Like a spider in the spider web, just takes them. But Archer's just firing off non-stop towards this. As long as he doesn't lose the Knights, he'll be A-okay. But those Archers going to continue to dwindle down. And you can see the Knights do fall in towards that position. He's slowly but steadily poking these Spearmen down. But doesn't seem to be getting super good trades. As long as this game goes, you can see, or as long as the fight goes, the Longbow just focus down the individual Spearmen one by one. Sorry, they focus down the Archers, whereas the Archers are trying to focus down the Spearmen. And it's only now that the fight has quote-unquote begun that those Spears are actually going to be fighting with the with the Knights. But it's a beautiful trade there. Knights aren't looking the healthiest, aren't looking the best. 7 damage over on the Archers compared to the 4 damage on the Knights. And now the English starting to look pretty decent, pretty solid. It's been a constant tug of war in the center, but it definitely seems like Divine is pulling ahead. Do we have Siege Engineering from Divine? We do not have Siege Engineering from him just yet. Siege Engineering, you know, probably not the strongest tech right now. And to be honest, I think that with Siege Engineering being so weak, or not Siege Engineering being weak, but rather Rams just being so weak, you know what? It's not even Rams are weak. It's just that they changed a lot of... They pulled a lot of levers at the same time, and they did a lot of silly things where... I shouldn't say silly things, but they did a lot of things where Rams really got adversely affected. So as an example, when you reduce the health of the Ram from 700 to 420, you look at that and you're like, yeah, that's obviously a nerf. Well, the devs were like, well, technically it's not a nerf, it's a change because we reduced the damage that all the other things do to Rams. You know, like, okay, so your torch damage from villagers, like that used to be crazy. Now we've just like, it's still the same amount of torches from a villager to kill a Ram. So we haven't technically nerfed them. But the one thing that you're overlooking is that the town center, I mean, when you've got 20 villagers inside that, you're not just doing, 1 arrow, you're doing 21 arrows, and that's 21 damage, and 21 is a significant percentage of health for that Ram, much more than it used to be. When you think about what the Ram used to be, it was 700 health, right? But now it's got 40% less health, 420 health, so it's going to take 40% less shots to kill that Ram from the town center. It might not seem like a big deal, but those types of things make it or break it when it comes to these pushes. And now Divine might be finding out the hard way exactly how that is, as he looks to try and push in with a Ram that appeared initially to be confused. Ram going to be coming out, another Archer raid just coming through. I don't even know if this is an Archer raid from GUA or if it's just like a misclick or something, but Battering Ram beginning to work through the buildings of GUA. First up, it's going to be that stable. He's already worked a little bit on that mining camp at GUA. He's got plenty of units down here. He's actually dropping down plenty of stables. Lots of production on this southern side. We can see he's got plenty down here. 4 stables, as well as the 3 archery ranges, 4 archery ranges. He's got a lot down here. He's nowhere near stacking up units, but he's going to be moving out here. Outposts as well, looking to try and hold on this position. The Knight's going to be charging out. He hits a villager. Also looks to take out some longbows on the front side. The Archer's moving forward. Villager's going to be pulled to take down that outpost. He wants to make sure he does it before the arrow slits come through. Beautiful surround right now, and it looks like Divine may have bitten off more than he could chew. He thought he had GUA on the ropes, but hey, you don't have GUA on the ropes, my friend. He's got you on the ropes, and now all of a sudden, the Spearmen are nowhere to be seen, and the Knights and Horsemen completely surround this position, and GUA all of a sudden, I don't know where he's got these units from, I don't know where he's found this, but all of a sudden, he takes control of this game, and this is a significant, this is not an insignificant amount of units, this is huge, this is enough to win the game. He could potentially just go straight through to the enemy base from here. He's completely annihilated the enemy composition. So now what does he need to do? Avoid taking down the outposts. Outposts are meaningless right now. What you want to be doing, GUA, is just head straight to the enemy base and camp their production. And at the same time as camping their production, look to find their villagers, idle their villagers. That's the good stuff. And if you can, kill those villagers, because look how much time you're given right now. You're giving away plenty of time. Now, don't get me wrong. Divine, he's in a tough spot. I think irrespective of whether you go after outposts or not, it's going to be hard for him to make a comeback from this position. But nonetheless, GUA, he's looking solid. No, wait, GUA going age 3 as well behind this? Damn, dude, wait, how are you fitting them jeans, GUA? You are thick right now, at least your economy is. This is impressive stuff, going with the Royal Institute, of course. No surprises there. He's got 77 villagers. He spent the last 24 minutes just cranking out villagers from a single TC. At least I can assume it was a single TC, as GUA's stone, once again. GUA's stone looks like... I remember there was a great scientist, and he believed that, like, celibacy, aka not having intercourse, was like really important to his scientific studies or like relationships in particular, just because it would keep him focused. He's like, if I get bogged down with women, then then things are going to get really bad for my scientific progresses. And look, to an extent, there might be some truth to that. But by the same token, yeah, I guess the point I'm trying to make is GUA's stone mine is looking like that whatever scientist that was right now. It is completely untouched. But GUA now reaching the 3rd age. Let's take a look and see what upgrades he looks to get. Not a lot of gold in the bank for him. He does go for a siege workshop straight away, and I'm going to assume that's a mangonel coming out. Actually, it could be a trebuchet. He had a bit of trouble with these outposts, but surely you're not going to make a trebuchet just to clear these out. You know what? It is GUA. He may do it. You never know with this guy. But now GUA moving across the map, the ultimate Giga Chad move. He's now looking to take away his enemies' resources, because obviously when you're playing up against the English, they're not going to be taking the food resources on their side of the map at all, because they would just prefer to make farms. Farms are cheap, farms are easy. And speaking of cheap and easy, we've got age 3 coming through. It's going to be the King's Palace for Divine, cranking out villagers. So he's on that 2 TC grind at the moment. 65 vills versus 83. He's down 18. But we'll have a look and see. It is going to be a mangonel that is coming out for GUA. Divine definitely going to be in a bit of a tough spot here. So we'll have to wait and see whether he looks to respond with a Springald of sorts. But already, I mean, you can see Divine pushing out the way he is at the moment. Populations are even, but keep in mind that a lot of that is in knights. And remember with the knights that they're incredibly population efficient. 13 knights is the equivalent of 39 spearmen, at least in cost. And as a result, it means that the 25 spears are largely outnumbered down on this this position. So veteran longbow is going to be coming through. I suspect we're going to have veteran spearmen coming through any second as well, because veteran spearmen are going to be important to try and hold this fight. Mangonel shot going wide. Not going to be able to take out any of these longbows, and I suspect that would be an immediate siege workshop response coming out from Divine. Hopefully Divine responds with the siege workshop immediately. Divine, you see a mangonel, you cannot ignore the mangonel. Do not ignore the mangonel as the battering ram sits on 8 health. Looking very hungry. Longbows trying to take out the mangonel. Probably not going to have too much luck here as the knights look to try and clean it up. Looks like we've got the veterancy upgrade coming through just yet. We'll take a look and see. Indeed, we've got Royal Bloodlines coming through as well. It's going to be the King strategy right here. The King strategy, the best strategy. I absolutely love it. The Royal Bloodline strategy. That's what it is all about. It is the Royal French strategy. And it's been impressive. GUA's pulled it out. He's done it perfectly. You can see the population still quite even, but you want to know the truth? The reality is Royal Bloodlines is one of the most busted upgrades when it's combined with the Royal Institute in the game. It is insane to think that these units are already buffed up like hell. 230 health. Mangonel, 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 okay, Mangonel. I'm not even going to call you out anymore. You don't want to fire off. I'm not going to call you out. Spearman coming through. Royal Bloodlines is through. And with Royal Bloodlines coming through, it's going to take so much longer for these knights to go down. And it keeps them alive for so much longer, and it guarantees that once they are alive, they're going to completely envelop the whole front of the enemy line, and with that completely rampaging over all these spears. And now those Royal Knights, with their extra health, are going to all be able to fall back, and they're all going to be able to heal up. Look at this bad boy right here, down to 12 health. This guy would have died in that last fight. This guy, down on 52. He would have died in the last fight, but they do not die. Why do they not die? Because they have got Royal Bloodlines, and then you combine that with the healing as well, and now you've got a healing unit. And this is why there's so much value. This is why it is the most overpowered tech, in my opinion. This landmark is absolutely insane when you use it the way the GUA is using it. The whole idea here is that you just want to be spamming out non-stop knights in this position. You spam them against spearmen. You spam them against crossbows. You are just making knights here. If you can link it up with a castle as well, or a keep, it's extra effective, because you're just going to be making cheaper knights. And so it's a very strong tech just because of that. But now we can see more and more healing coming up. It's not a huge amount of healing, but you just got to remember it's still healing. And you leave these bad boys alone for 2-3 minutes, and they're back up to full health. Outpost looking to fire down upon that low health Royal Knight. It's down to 16 health. Going to be losing its life, unfortunately. GUA not paying attention to that individual. He does lose his life, very sadly. And now continues to focus down more and more. Veteran archers coming through. Divine still yet to make a siege workshop up against multiple mangonels. An interesting decision from him. We see a trebuchet coming out now. And it's kind of crazy, because like a single Springald would nullify the mangonel. But I guess the reality is the Springald isn't the real threat here. The real threat is the spearmen, or rather the Royal Knights. These guys are the real threat. This is 100% the most busted tech in the game, and this is 100% why. Because the reality is there's no counter. I mean, I say there's no counter. I guess crossbows with spearmen counter it. I feel like we just haven't seen people really realize it yet, but GUA definitely realizing that. Upgrades now coming through. We see that was, I think that was Chivalry, or not Chivalry. Chivalry, let's call it that one. It was it was Cantled Saddles coming through just then. But Knights moving out. You can see there's not a lot of Knights here, but you've got to watch out. Don't underestimate these guys. If you're not good at estimating, if you do not do not overestimate your ability to estimate. Let's just put it that way. But Knights still just looming. Mangonels coming out. GUA going with some aggressive walls here. GUA looking good, looking healthy, looking happy. Knight's going to be coming out for a bit of a charge. Let's see if he gets a screen off. Mangonel's going to be coming through. Charge is going to be eating up the first Mangonel. He deletes the wall. He looks to engage now. GUA with the second Mangonel. He's still firing off towards that backline, picking up plenty of units. The Knights on the front side just looking so damn healthy, so damn happy. They continue just cleaning house, and look how much damage they are soaking up non-stop. They are just taking so much damage, and they just continue to go. The Spearmen get eaten alive. The Knights nowhere to be seen, and as a result, he just rampages over the enemy units, and there's nothing that Divine can do about it. GUA looking incredibly strong in this position as he continues to close out this. He backs off for whatever reason. He doesn't realize that he's playing the French, and he's got the best damn Knights in the game. This civilization, delicious. I just burped. That was also not probably the wrong time to say that. Sorry guys. I have a classic inability of oversharing. I'm not sure exactly, but you guys get what I mean. The Knights move in. Those villagers might be thinking about a bit of a keep. GUA, he's got 1,100 stone in the bank, and indeed it is going to be a keep. He goes for a forward keep, drops that down in the backside of the enemy's base, and with that, good game, going to get called. GUA successful in this game, looking very strong with those French Knights, fellas. I hope you've enjoyed the look in this game with a look inside one of the strongest techs in the game right now. Catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.